Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. A couple of weeks ago, a new viewer to my channel named Steve made a recommendation, and he said, "Hey Alan, could you do a video of your favorite Canadian artists, favorite bands, musical artists?" And I'm like, you know what, Steve? That's a really cool idea. I like it, and I was kind of curious myself how many Canadian artists I have in my database and where they would fit in my all-time favorite acts. And pretty cool. So with my database, which as you know, my channel, I got everything in my database exactly when I bought it. I've been doing this since 1973. And right now there's 5,321 albums that I have in my collection starting since 1973. That doesn't include about 300 plus in my backlog that haven't earned it yet. Anyway, let's talk about the Canadian bands, music artists that I have. I'm going to do my top 10 favorites, Steve, and the nominees are, I have 17 nominees of my favorite Canadian bands, music artists. So I have 7 albums by Bryan Adams, I got 7 albums by April Wine, I got 10 albums by Bachman Turner Overdrive, I got 15 by the band. Yeah, I know Levon Helm was American, but the band's a Canadian band, really 4/5 of it. Bruce Cockburn, got 2 albums I have, 19 Leonard Cohen albums I have, 1 by the Guess Who, 3 by Gordon Lightfoot, 1 by Loverboy, 3 by Sarah McLachlan, 25 Joni Mitchell albums I have, 2 Alanis Morissette, 1 by Aldo Nova, his debut, 1 by Rush. I know you Rush fans are gonna destroy me. I'm a huge progressive fan. I've talked about Rush. I've bought most of their studio records. I bought their first 3 live records. I just don't listen to Rush. I try. I kept the Rush Gold. It's all I need from them. 3 from Steppenwolf, 1 by Tragically Hip, and Neil Young with a whopping 36 albums, including 2 that were top 3. Since 1973, when I started my database, at the end of every year, I choose my top 3 albums of the year that I got that year, based on how much I played. So years like this year, which I'm going to bought 200 plus albums, and other years 120, 150, for you to go top 3 is a pretty big deal for me. So Neil Young has done it twice, so pretty big deal. All right, so there's your list. Take a good look. We are now going to do the top 10, Steve, of my top 10 favorite Canadian bands, music artists. And at number 10 is going to be Sarah McLachlan. And I discovered Sarah McLachlan pretty much when everybody else in America did. You know, those 2 really big albums, Fumbling, Towards Ecstasy, and Surfacing. And they're really good records, and I enjoyed them. She did Lilith Fair. She really became a big artist at the time. Mirrorball's the other one I got, which is a live record. But at the end of the day, I'm just not that huge of a fan of hers. I just don't really listen to her much. I have no desire to get another one. I actually did get another one at one point. I'm like, I'm just never going to listen to this. So I kept these 3, but that's all I need from Sarah McLachlan. So she is my number 10 all-time favorite Canadian artist. You know what? I'm going to stick this over there, David, if you're watching, so it doesn't fall over, because I don't feel like having a catastrophe here. Number 9 is going to be none other than Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams, I have 7 albums. Actually, I have a little history with Bryan Adams, because when I went to school at SUNY Albany, he played a place called the Palace Theater, relatively small theater up in Albany at that time. This was 81, 85. I guess I was around 81. And to make extra money on the side, I used to work as a roadie at the Palace Theater. And I roadied his show, and the tickets were $5. Because he was really just trying to make a name for himself, and he was about to release this album, Cuts Like a Knife, and he did, and this album took off. So, and this is a great album. It's got This Time, Cuts Like a Knife, the title track, Straight from the Heart, was a big hit. And then the album he did after that was Reckless, which of course took over the world. Massive record, and a really, really good one. And then I also have So Far So Good here, but I have, which is a collection. If you want to get into Bryan Adams, this is probably all you really need. I don't listen to Bryan Adams a lot, but the fact of the matter is he's a really good writer, for what he does, him and Jim Valance. And especially these 2 are really fine, rock and roll records. Nothing wrong with that. So there you have it. Bryan Adams. He is at number 9 in my all-time favorite Canadian artists. Let's stick that baby over there. Alrighty, at number 8, another interesting band, and that is going to be April Wine. Now, I discovered or heard of April Wine because in 1977, when the Stones played the El Macambo, that surprise show, it was an April Wine concert to cover for it. They actually released an album called April Wine Live at the El Macambo, and I had to buy it. And here it is on vinyl. I had to buy it because that was the Stone show, and they talk about it in the liner notes. And it's a fine live record, you know, from back in the day. But then they made it. Certainly in America, they made it with this album, The Nature of the Beast. After that, that had Just Between You and Me, Sign of the Gypsy Queen, 2 really good rockers. They did Power Play with Enough Is Enough, If You CK, another fine album. And I have, over the years, got more and more into April Wine, gotta say. I kind of dig them. They're a fine band. So, April Wine for me has 7 albums, and they are my number 8 all-time favorite Canadian artist. Let's keep going. At number 7 is going to be Steppenwolf. And Steppenwolf, I only have 3 albums. I find for Steppenwolf, for me, I enjoy them the most with a compilation. The very first Steppenwolf album I ever had on vinyl was 16 Greatest Hits. And I bet you I'm not alone. I bet you a lot of album people started with like that Steppenwolf collection. And then, you know, another one I have that I like is the Steppenwolf Gold, which is loaded. This thing's got, I don't know, whatever, 30-something songs on there. For me, this is all I need from Steppenwolf. Their stuff that I like is really good, but I find their albums in general be kind of a mixed bag. So, Steppenwolf for me at number 7. At number 6 is going to be Alanis Morissette. And she's an artist that I really am considering to get more and more into. You know, I discovered her, like most people, Jagged Little Pill, and one of the biggest selling albums of all time, deservedly so. It is a tremendous album. She is the real deal, certainly, on this album for sure. And then I also have this collection, which is also real good, like a collection. That's where I stand with Alanis Morissette. Just these 2 albums. I don't listen to her very often. But my gut, especially with that collection, that the more and more I get into her, I think I'm going to like her more. So she's somebody that in the future I will be digging into more. So even though I only got 2 albums by her, she's up to number 6 in my favorite Canadian artists. At number 5 is going to be BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive. And when I was a little kid, my sister bought BTO 2 when it came out. And I used to play it to death. I loved it. Let It Ride, you know, Taking Care of Business, of course, Welcome Home. You know, these guys, meat and potatoes, crunch and rock. And then when Not Fragile came out on vinyl, and it had like the cover was embossed like 3D. It was great. I love this album, man. In 1974, I think it was 74, right? This album just, I loved it. And so... what do I have? I have 10 Bachman Turner Overdrive albums. I guess you could say I like them. Nothing beats these 2 for sure. But they're a fine band if you want that meat and potatoes crunching rock and roll that I sometimes love to hear. Bachman Turner Overdrive, right there. At number 5. At number 4 is a guy that I discovered kind of late in life for me. And I discovered Leonard Cohen through the movie Natural Born Killers. I thought that movie was incredible. I still do. And had a great soundtrack. This is a soundtrack to that album. But it featured, you know, a couple of Leonard Cohen tracks. And I'm like, those are just the coolest songs in the world. Waiting for the Miracle, The Future was another one. Had a great soundtrack. So, believe it or not, for me, that's how I really kind of discovered Leonard Cohen. And I have just over the years gone crazy for Leonard Cohen. In fact, right now I'm reading a book on him. Well, I call it a book. These Ultimate Music Guides are books. They're incredible. And they go through every album and everything about him. I don't really know that much about Leonard Cohen, so I'm learning a lot. But as of this year, I have 19 Leonard Cohen albums. So I'm definitely a fan. I don't have all of his albums yet, but I will, because I I just think he's awesome. The first two Leonard Cohen albums I got, besides Natural Born Killers, were these two, I'm Your Man and The Future. So these are those latter day ones where he was, his voice is really deep and husky, but it's not acoustic. And then I went back in time and started out his first album, the second album, and I got a good mixture. If you want to get into him, like these essential collections really cover his whole career. His live albums, I also think, are just spectacular. I mentioned that once before. One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't see Leonard Cohen live towards the end of his life when he did a live show. He played, I think, Madison Square Garden, and I kicked myself for not seeing him. Leonard Cohen, my number 4 Canadian artist of all time with 19 albums. At number 3, well, that's going to be Joni Mitchell. I have 25 Joni Mitchell albums. I think I pretty much have all of them. I'm missing like 1 or 2. I'm a really big Joni fan. What can you say? Who isn't? Now they release a lot of these box sets, compilations. I used to be a completist. It's impossible to be a completist now. I discovered Joni when I was really young because my sister had Court and Spark. And I also fell in love with it thanks to my sister, and I played it all the time. And I still think that's, it's obviously an incredible album. But then I saw her later on, like Shadows and Lights is a great live record and a great tour with Pat Metheny and Jaco Pastorius. And then I saw this tour, The Wild Things Run Fast. This is an album I always talk about for Joni Mitchell because I think it's forgotten and not appreciated to the level it should. This is a tremendous Joni Mitchell album, and it's a rocker. So if you want to hear Joni Mitchell rock out, that's a good one. Joni Mitchell, for me, at number 3 with 25 albums. At number 2, who's my second favorite Canadian artist of all time? Well, that is actually going to be Neil Young. And Neil Young, I have the most albums out of all these, 36. But he's not my number 1 all-time favorite. I have Neil Young, 36 albums. He went top 3 twice, which is quite an honor. So I'll show you what those were. The way I discovered Neil Young is, again, through my sister. She had After the Gold Rush. And the same deal, man. I played that album to death. Absolutely to death. Incredible album, obviously. And then I just kept going. I remember The Rust Never Sleeps. I saw this tour at the Nassau Coliseum and then got Live Rust, another amazing live record. And the 2 Neil Young albums that were top 3, if you want to know, was 1978, the Comes a Time album, which I was blown away by. Loved it and still do. Kind of a forgotten Neil Young album, in my opinion. I just think it's tremendously great. And then Freedom also was a top 3 album for me, which another amazing album. Neil Young's not number 1 for me because he's just, not all of his stuff is great. And I have 36 of his albums. Some are huge for me and some of them nah. And he's not the kind of artist that I would even attempt to get everything because he just releases everything, and I respect that. But Neil Young, for me, number 2 all-time favorite Canadian artist. So who's my number 1 all-time favorite Canadian artist? That's going to be the band. I have 15 band albums, all their studio records, a couple of box set. Well, I got that big music history box set, some live stuff. How did I discover the band? In 1976, The Last Waltz, the film and the original album, which was a triple vinyl. Here's the remastered 2 CD version. I did a video on favorite live albums, and that was way up there. It's an amazing live record. The band is at their best, I think, on that. Even better than like Rock of Ages. I just think it's stupendous. This is the Last Waltz 4 CD box set it's just amazing. This is one of the greatest concerts of all time, and the band leads it. Even though there's other artists on there, including Dylan and Clapton and everybody else, it's still the band at their best, and that's how they went out. And then, of course, I'm a huge Robbie Robertson fan as well. So the band, for me, is my number 1 all-time favorite Canadian band musical artist. So here it is, my top 10. Hope you enjoyed that. At number 10, Sarah McLachlan. Number 9, Bryan Adams. Number 8, April Wine. Number 7, Steppenwolf. Number 6, Alanis Morissette. Number 5, Bachman Turner Overdrive. Number 4, Leonard Cohen. Number 3, Joni Mitchell. Number 2, Neil Young. And number 1, the band, Alan Rosenberg's top 10 favorite Canadian band music artists. As always, want to know your opinion. I know some of you are going to rip me about Rush. What can I tell you? I have tried. I've tried. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to know. And Steve, thank you for your suggestion. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know you're fairly new to my channel, I think, and this is how I do it. All physical media, what I got, and that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. I know it's probably annoying to hear, and I don't say it that often. But if you haven't subscribed, please hit subscribe to my channel. I'm doing this 4 years. I got a bazillion videos. And I'd love my channel to grow so other people could discover it. And even for yourself, you'll get notified when I do a new video, which is a good thing and helps me as well. So thanks as always. Stay safe, stay healthy. I will see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.